Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first council meeting in September. I'm sure there's lots of people here that are happy their kids or grandkids are back in school either today or tomorrow. But again, welcome everyone, and I'm going to just ask when you're approaching the podium, state your name, speak into the mic, and also, we've got one TV that is not working, or are they both, we can't utilize either one, right?
We can't show the council agenda on either TV, but we do have the TV at the back set up for those who are zooming in. Council will be able to see them when they speak.
Technical difficulties. So, pecuniary interest, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Okay, then we'll move along. I'm moved by Councillor Potnovich, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the council receives the closed session report regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land. Further, that the council approves the confidential direction of staff. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Thank you. So I have a motion by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the minutes of the town of Minto, June 9th, 2024, closed session meeting, and August 13th, 2024, regular council meeting be approved. All in favor of that motion? It's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Potnovich, that the town of Minto convenes into committee of the whole. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. So today we have a public meeting. I'm going to act as chair of the public meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Deputy Clerk Garecki to ensure that any member of the public present is recorded on the attendance record. And I'm going to say, do you want to, as everybody has signed in? Okay. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the town of Minto to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and that the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. I'm going to ask Deputy Clerk Garecki to state the municipal address and the legal description of the property.
Thank you, Chair Turton. The property subject to the proposed amendment is located at Concession 1, Part Lot 19 in Palmerston in the town of Minto. The subject property is approximately 0.66 hectares or 1.64 acres in size. The purpose and effect of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands from Highway Commercial C2 to Highway Commercial Site-Specific C2X zone to facilitate the construction of a 4-story mixed-use development with commercial and residential apartment uses. Site-specific zoning is requested to provide relief from the maximum building height, required parking space setbacks to a residential use on the west and south sides, minimum residential unit floor area requirements, and required loading space regulations. The notices were mailed to the property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property, as well as the applicable agencies, and posted on the subject property on August 14th, 2024. Reports and comments were received from the County of Wellington, the Town of Minto, the Upper Grand District School Board, and Wellington Source Water Protection, and were attached to the agenda for Council to review.
Okay, so I'm going to ask our county planner to provide comments regarding the proposed amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 01-86. Jessica Rahim, please.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Mayor Turton.
Jessica.
Thank you. So today's statutory public meeting is for application ZBA 2024-08 for the lands located at 475 Main Street in Palmerston. Today, we have the opportunity to provide this information to council, the community area residents, to ask questions and seek more information from the applicant. The applicants and agents are here today, and we'll also be providing a overview of the application to council. So I'm just going to keep my report quick. So the subject lands are designated highway commercial within the county official plan in zone C2, highway commercial zone. The applicants are proposing to rezone the subject lands to a site-specific zone in order to facilitate a 4-story mixed-use building with commercial on the main floor and a 58-unit residential apartments above. As already stated, the site-specific zoning is requested to provide relief from the maximum building height, the required parking space setbacks to a residential use, minimum residential unit floor area requirements, and the loading space requirements. So my report in the council agenda has provided a relevant information on the PPS, the growth plan, the county official plan as it relates to the application. The applicants have also prepared a number of technical reports submitted with the application in support, which are also indicated in my report, the planning justification report, traffic impact study, functional servicing, and stormwater management report, as well as the photometric plans and a shadow study was provided. After staff's review, we are requesting additional information on truck movement on the site before we bring back a recommendation report and a bylaw, and that's just to ensure that the loading space can be accommodated in the proposed location and no additional relief may be required if things do have to shift on the property from that. Following this meeting, staff will consider any comments and prepare a final recommendation report and a draft zoning bylaw for council's consideration. And I will leave the rest up to the applicant. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for that.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Next up, I'm going to ask Sama Haigai, our Minto Planning Coordinator, to offer her comments.
Thank you, Mayor. As required by the Planning Act, the application has been circulated to relevant agencies and property owners within 400 feet of the subject property. The following comments have been raised. The town received comments from the Upper Grand District School Board, which are subjected to 5 conditions to be imposed during future site plan control application. Wellington Source Water Protection reviewed the proposal and determined that it doesn't pose a significant drinking water threat. However, a Section 59 notice will be required for future application at the property, and a risk management plan may be needed. A written submission was received from the owners of the properties at 130 Bridge Crescent. They expressed concerns regarding traffic impact, noise and pollution for commercial traffic, neighborhood character, loss of scenic views and natural light, and a potential impact on property values. Town of Minto staff have reviewed and discussed application. The proposed development requires site plan control approval, which will allow for a true examination of the site's design. The review will include buffering, fencing, drainage, grading, snow storage, parking, traffic impact, lighting, and truck movement. Planning staff requests additional information about truck movement on the site, particularly concerning the loading space location. This will be reviewed during the site plan control process. Public Works also reviewed the application and supports the request for more details on truck movement, as highlighted by county planners, to be addressed during the site plan control process. Thank you. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, so we'll get to the questions in a few minutes, but now I'm going to ask comments regarding proposed amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 0186. Look at Dana Kiefer here. She's a land use planner, Cobite Engineering, and also Mr. Wilson's here from WT Land LP, one of the owners. The floor is yours, Dana.
Through you, Mr. Chair. My name is Dana Kiefer. I'm a senior development planner with Cobite Engineering. I'm here on behalf of WT Land Company. So WT is building apartments across southwestern Ontario. So they have 2 right now working in Walkerton, or planned for Walkerton. There's 2 in Mount Forest, and there's further plans for surrounding communities for that. So the subject property is an L-shaped parcel with frontage on Main Street West. It's adjacent to a residential neighborhood, and it is across the road from TG Minto. What they're proposing is a 4-story mixed-use apartment, so 731 square meters of ground floor retail space, so that's about 50%, and then 58 residential units, which are proposed to be a combination of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments, and 99 parking spaces, which will accommodate all of the required parking in those. A functional servicing report, a traffic impact study, and a shadow study, in addition to the planning justification report, were supplied as part of the application. So we are requesting, I did want to note for council that the parcel is zoned highway commercial right now. So it is permitted certain developments as of right. We're asking for a few site-specific amendments to facilitate this particular development. So firstly, asking for an increase in height of 1.25 meters. So that's about 10%. That's just to accommodate the specific building design that they're looking to build. So a commercial bottom floor has a higher ceiling than residential, but also they are looking to accommodate more room in between the floors for mechanical infrastructure and the parapet at the top. So 13.75 meters height. We are asking for a unit area reduction. That's just going to facilitate a little bit smaller of a unit. So as I said, they're looking for a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. So some of those 1 bedroom units would be a smaller unit. Loading spaces, 1 down from 2, and then parking setbacks to residential uses, being those uses on the western side, down from 4.5 meters to 2 meters. We are proposing to fence that to help accommodate that. So in conclusion, I'll keep my presentation relatively short and sweet, but it's a natural extension of the built boundary. So there is development all around this location. It's an opportunity for a new business to set up shop in Palmerston, or a business to relocate that's looking for a bigger commercial space. And also it's going to offer diversity to your housing stock, including 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. Thank you for listening. I am very happy to answer any council's questions if they have any.
Okay, so next, thank you, Dana. Appreciate that. Next, we have Joel Ackermanis via Zoom. So I'm asking to request any persons wishing to speak to the application. So we have John Ackermanis on Zoom. So John, floor is yours. Welcome.
Hi there. So I have some concerns. I mean, I did write up a number of concerns in the letter I submitted, but being the type of residential area that we are here, like a 4-story building seems a little bit out of character against it in our backyards. And I think huge concern is going to be the noise and the fact that there is commercial there. And our bedrooms back onto that particular plan, we're going to have headlights staring into our bedroom windows at night. I don't know what about kind of truck traffic they're talking about and even what kind of commercial they're going to have there, but I got a funny feeling the noise level is going to be pretty high. And that's going to be somewhat disturbing as a quiet residential neighborhood. But one of my other concerns is too that even if I guess they decide to go ahead with this, there doesn't seem to be any provision that I saw on the plans that there's actually going to be a fence along our property lines to help kind of diffuse headlights from the parking lot.
So do you want to, John, just go ahead? I see you hesitated. I'm not assuming that you're finished. I'm assuming that that was a question. Do we want to handle the questions as they come, or do we handle the questions when your presentation is complete? If you're okay with just proceeding, and we'll get to your questions when you're finished, if you're not finished.
Yeah. I assume I'm not going to have to reiterate the letter that I submitted, but I guess that was basically one of my questions I'm going to have, other than the issues that I raised in the letter.
Okay, so thank you, John. I'm going to give members of council, so possibly what we should do is have a question period right now. So Dana, Jessica, Sama, if there's questions, we can direct them to the person we want to answer it, or Dana, do you want to answer John's question first? All right, thank you. If you don't mind addressing the mic at the podium.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I did just again want to note for council that it is commercially zoned at this moment. So there are a number of things that could go in there as of right, including a restaurant, an accessory shop, an automotive sales and service establishment, an automotive service station, what's the word I'm looking for? Car wash. There we go. These would all be consistent with the zone that could go in there at this moment without a zoning bylaw amendment. So the residential use that we are proposing that is going to come with this commercial use, I feel like is going to be a little bit more consistent with the established uses that are adjacent to the property. I did also want to note for council that the property, due to the number of units, will be subject to site plan control, as Samba mentioned. The municipality can require us to fence it as part of that. And to be honest, it would be WT's preference that it be fenced anyways. So that would be part of the agreement. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to open it up to other questions from council. Go ahead, Councillor Potnevitz.
I realize the site plan can look after the fence, but I just had a question on the commercial aspect of it. Whereabouts would it be located? I realize it's 50% of the floor area. Well, would that be on, say, the right-hand side, the left-hand side, or would it be facing the parking lot? Just kind of wanted to find out where that was in relation to the plan we are.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
It will be the bottom floor of the building. It will be on, let's call that the west side that would face the parking lot. So the patrons will be able to enter from the parking lot into the commercial space.
Would that be 50% of, or half the building facing that parking lot? Then the back half would be residential? Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct, along the long side.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions? So we do have, sorry, Deputy Mayor Anderson, go ahead.
So just a question of clarity, perhaps it's obvious, is a loading space a parking space? Are we calling it a loading space because it's commercially designed, or is that a new terminology for parking spaces for people?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Sorry?
Oh,
Oh.
you maybe need to pull
sorry,
that
my
mic
mic is-
forward.
Sorry, I asked about a loading space. Is a loading space a parking space, or is the loading space just for the commercial part of the building?
How's that, John? Did you hear that?
Yes, I got that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I can maybe field this one. So the loading space is basically a larger space designed for a truck to unload goods. It's not required for a residential build, but because of the commercial, the square footage of the commercial area requires 2, and they're seeking relief down to 1.
So they require 2 per business?
2 on the site in total.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
So Terry, what might that look like? One space for truck movement. Would it be, so is that, obviously it could be vans delivering stuff. It could be parts for an auto sales or whatever. If it's, Tim Hortons truck, they're fairly large.
So it could be any of those. I'm assuming a site like this with this type of development and the anticipated commercial uses in there, it would be probably like maybe a straight truck would be about the extent of it, or it could be delivery vans. Like there's tons of different options, but the loading space requirement is to be able to provide a space where a vehicle can basically park out of the way while they're offloading their goods or wares.
Councillor Elliott, go ahead.
The retail, would we have trucks going in and out of there for 24 hours? Could somebody at 3 a.m. back at transport back in there? Or what's the thoughts on that?
Our zoning bylaw doesn't have any limitations in terms of when deliveries can or cannot happen. So I would assume it would be kind of in conjunction with the businesses that are there and their normal operating hours, but we don't have a restriction in our bylaw currently for that.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Dana.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would maybe add that it's likely unlikely that I can't guarantee because we're not sure what businesses are going to go in there. But in order for someone to show up at 3 o'clock in the morning for that truck, you would have to have someone there to unload it too. So you're talking more of a Walmart situation or somewhere where they have overnight staff. I think due to the size of the proposed commercial space, it's unlikely that it's probably going to have overnight staff like that. It's not something I can guarantee because I'm not sure what retail use is going to go in there.
We could use a restaurant. Just a comment.
Other questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you. So when, again, minimum accessory residential dwelling unit floor area, is that an apartment? Accessory or garage, or like, I'm just not clear on the terminology.
It's an apartment.
So it's 390 cubic feet, is that, or square feet? I can't see on the screen. It's too small.
The minimum in the zoning bylaw currently is 538 square feet. And I believe the reduction that they're seeking is to a unit size of around 400 square feet.
Small.
Yep.
Okay. And are these going to be affordable units? Is that the, and is, if it's an affordable unit, is there a dollar figure that we can attach to that? It's going to be reasonable housing for people to be able to actually afford, like the people working at TG.
Dana, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair. That is the hope at this point. Obviously, providing a little bit of a smaller unit is hopefully going to have a little bit more of an affordable rate attached to a rental rate. Obviously, targeting potentially TG Minto workers and the ability to cross the road and work.
Okay. And these are all rental units.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay. Can I ask one more?
Absolutely, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I have lots. That corner is a disaster now to get out of. We're gonna add how many units? 80 units, 70 units with potentially 2 more people living per unit, except for the 400 square foot one, hopefully. Maybe there'll be 4 in there. How are we gonna manage the traffic? And how's it gonna be safe for the kids? Because the kids from there are gonna be going down that street to get to the side of the school. What are we doing? We're putting a stoplight, a walkway, hopefully a striped walkway? Just to be
Go ahead, Mike.
diplomatic.
We're currently working in conjunction with the developer to make sure that the plan is going to work. Construction in a couple of years, accommodate these sorts of questions. Concerns we have.
So we thinking a stoplight or a yellow light or a person standing there or a crossing guard? Because
Right now, we're actually looking at a round.
oh, okay.
So we will have pedestrian crossings and everything associated with it.
Because I'm sure everybody shares like that corner is bad. Now you can't get out of there when TG Minto's coming up, the school's coming out. Nobody knows, and goodness knows if you're coming out the hospital corner there, you're sitting for 20 minutes, maybe, or half an hour. Okay. Anyway, big concern, I'm sure, down the road. Thank you. I think I'm finished now.
Okay, other questions? Okay, so Genevieve? Genevieve, the floor is yours. Sorry? So, okay, so I'm going to allow a question or two here.
Sorry.
So, okay, fine. I'd appreciate it if you would approach the mic and state your name. So Genevieve?
No, sorry, I'm not Genevieve.
You're
This is Genevieve.
next.
I've jumped the queue, okay? Jumped the lineup, sorry. So my name is Delith, and I'm here with my husband Ian, and we reside at 118 Bridge Crescent. I just want to give everybody a little bit of a background. We moved here in 2019, and we paid a premium for a lookout. We first became aware of 475 Main Street East as zoned as C2 when Dan St. Clair applied for severance, allowing him to sell the house and the land separately. So this parcel of land obviously has come up again. And there are some amendments issued by WT Land. Now, we appreciate the province are in a housing crisis and that the government has allowed some flexible interpretations. However, the town of Minto still has to evaluate it against criteria such as compatibility, suitability, and adequacy. So the first one I'm going to address is compatibility with adjacent land uses. This building complex will be built next to an already existing subdivision, which consists of detached, semi-detached townhouses and affordable housing which I might add still remains empty. The dwellings especially are impacted by a set of 6 detached houses. By allowing height exemption to increase to a 4-story building to be constructed, this would significantly reduce our natural light and also impact our privacy and noise pollution. It would greatly reduce the quality and the usage of our backyards. Number 2, suitability of the land of proposed purpose. Now, I know that Jean Anderson has already raised quite a few of these points because building this 4-story would consist of 58 apartments, and it is a compact and dense site. There is no sidewalk up to this parcel of land, creating a major safety concern. All amenities are in the town centre, so the residents who have no access to vehicles would have to walk at least 500 metres down a soft shoulder. Lastly, adequacy to vehicle access. Another major concern which has been addressed is that Main Street and Toronto Street intersection is probably the busiest in Palmerston. Emergency vehicles use it, along with TG Minto employees, along with commercial vehicles, agricultural vehicles, and as mentioned, parents who have children in the school system, as well as snowmobilers who use that to go down to the local gas station. At a very minimum, there should be a crossing similar to that at Toronto and Prospect Street, which, may I add, has less traffic coming through. If this provision is allowed, like I said, it needs to be a traffic-controlled crossing, or we are going to witness several fatal collisions. We strongly feel that there should be further studies conducted as to the suitability of these amendments that we have expressed today. Thank you to the town of Minto. Thank you, Chairman, for receiving my comments.
And thank you for your comments. Genevieve, you're not going to speak?
We're here for support.
No, that's fine.
We were on vacation and came back to this. Not here.
All right, so I'm going to ask other questions. Go ahead. Councillor
This
Zimmerman.
might be a question for our CBO. I'm just trying to picture a 4-story building next to residential. We already have stacked townhomes in that same general area. Just wondering what the difference in height between the two of them would be.
So in that block, I want to say it's 182 Bridge Crescent. I could be wrong. Those are 3-story buildings. So this would be height in addition to. It's not going to look as imposing as what you may think by just adding another story on top. That the ones existing have a pitched roof already, and this is a flat roof. So it's not like you're going to have a roof on top of a 4-story structure.
Okay. Just trying to get the concept of just how high that would be.
And I can't recall off the top of my head what the current building's height is.
Okay.
I apologize. It's been a few years since I issued those permits.
And then what other question? We do live in the snow belt here. And I see that's an entire parking lot. What are the provisions for snow removal?
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair. It is a purpose-built rental site, so snow will be either accommodated on-site or trucked off-site if it needs to be at the expense of WT.
Dana, you're getting your exercise.
Okay.
Next question.
I have one question. If this does go ahead, when's the proposed shovels in the ground type of scenario?
Through you, Mr. Chair. We would anticipate about a year. It is going to have to get through the site plan approval process and then obviously get through the permitting process and ready at that time, but a year would be the hopeful prospect.
Councillor Elliott. Dana, would you mind just?
Save you getting back to your chair.
Maybe I'll just stay here this time.
Have you done some marketing or conception of people that wish those apartments? Do you think you'll have any problem filling them?
WT has done some background research with both marketing and community partners, and are confident
That you'll be able to fill them? Okay, thanks.
So, I mean, we all know that there is definitely a need for 1s, 2s, and 3s. I mean, we've got quite a few people that have expressed interest throughout the town, employers, other folks always looking for a place to live. So we feel quite confident as a town and staff that this is what we need. And today we're talking at this public meeting about issues that are coming up, and I mean, now's the time to talk about it. So, other questions? I have one. We talked about the soft shoulder on the north side of the road. That'll all be part and parcel with the main street in Palmerston in 2026.
That is correct. The town has committed to extending the sidewalk from the petrol station property to the, I believe it's Stevenson Way. And then we have cash in lieu of the sidewalk that the developer has put up to continue the sidewalk from Stevenson Way to Bridge. Through the site plan approval process, pedestrian access from the site is something we're definitely going to be looking at. So we would want to avoid having people walk through the driveway to access Main Street. And then obviously it's got to link up to existing sidewalks. So I'll give you a spoiler. I'm going to be asking for that connection.
I mean, we talk about a roundabout. The roundabouts, I've been told numerous times that they're much safer than stoplights. And with a roundabout there and the proper crosswalk and different things, I mean, we're talking 58 units. That could be a considerable amount of young people going uptown, going to the public school, the high school, whatever. So, I mean, it is really up to us to make this safe. So, Deputy Mayor Anderson, go ahead.
So roundabouts are great for vehicles. There's still collisions. The idea is that they're just slower, so they're not as hazardous to your health. What about people on roundabouts? I've never seen a roundabout where it was easy to get across as a pedestrian. No.
There's still, when you have a traffic tap, you have to stop. So leave them under there. And it's with anything, you gotta make that. We are looking at the most solution at that intersection.
It's the kids that, right? Kids aren't making contact with anybody except their friends.
Oh, for sure. And just with the direction, all pedestrians, it's gonna be in their home until we go to it. I hope they'd have to go first. We're gonna look at all the options.
Okay, I'll leave that in your capable hands, but it sure is a concern.
Councillor Dirksen, go ahead.
It's okay. My question was answered. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Elliott.
I just want to say what TGG Minto getting out, it's kind of a mini racetrack down there, or a lot of cars getting out. But every street in Palmerston going up through Main Street is affected. It's not just that spot, because we can't put a stoplight at every street. So if I'm at the edge of Queen Street trying to get on the road, I can't do that if till TG Min will get through in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I'm just saying it's no more dangerous there than it is other parts of the town. So I don't know how you solve that. Thanks.
Okay, other questions? Sorry, sir. Step up to the mic, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Bruce Forbes. I live on 134 Bridge Crescent. And the question I have, of course, we came here to retire and we had this beautiful lot. And now we may have to reconsider because this is not what we wanted. We were led to believe, and it's not the town's fault. We were led to believe that there would be nothing near this farmland. Anyway, my question is, I heard, my hearing is not that great. I got hearing aids and I still couldn't hear much, but everybody's talking about the west side. Is that where all the traffic is going to be? Is that where the offloading, onloading, the cars are going to be parked? The roadway is going to be back and forth there? Because all of the houses that are in question here are on the west side. Can they not put the traffic and everything on the east side and put the building there instead of that? And give us some privacy of a fence and trees maybe and the space, because I somebody showed me, I think it was John actually, that showed me some of the construction that's going to go on, and the parking is right up against the property line within a couple of feet from what I can see. So again, is there any consideration of how to locate the building and how to locate the traffic? Because that's really going to be a problem for us.
Well, that's a great question. That's a perfect spot to ask that question. I think Dana's sitting on the edge of her seat.
Thank you. Need the mic on?
And through you, Mr. Chair. It would be challenging to move the building just because of that L-shaped parcel. So the portion that goes out to the road is on the western side. The building is set to the east where that flares out. Additionally, the shadow impacts from the building, the closer you move them to those property, will be larger the closer they get to those houses. So setting it on the other side of the lot does help minimize those shadows impacts a little bit. The lights, as I mentioned, there will be a board fence, so those will be accommodated from not shining into the neighbors when they pull into the spots. Thank you.
Okay, so Dana, I'm going to ask you, is there anything further, rebuttal or response from you or Mr. the owner? He's been sitting there very quiet.
I'm happy to hear the council's happy to go over questions. I'm very happy to answer them.
Well, that's what this is about, is answering, getting all the questions out on the floor and getting answers. Okay, so I'm going to close the meeting off. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Council of the Town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the Clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, Ontario, NOG 1Z0, or by email at annaleen@town.minto.on.ca. And if there's no further comments, I don't see any, I'm going to adjourn this public meeting. So thank you for coming. Thank you for your comments, questions. You can stay as long as you want, but now's an opportunity to leave if you want. So we're going to move along to, okay. Okay, thank you, guys.
Where's Mr. Cherry?
Okay, so thank you for coming, Mr. Gill. Nice to see you. Uh-oh.
Didn't see her.
Okay, so we have no delegations, and I'm going to ask Quinn to provide some comments.
I just wanted to say that the microphone that Mr. McIsaac was using did not pick up a single word when he was answering any of those questions. So when the time comes for reports, could you grab that mic and ship it down to Chris because it didn't work at all.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I needed.
Did you get a phone call to let somebody let you know that?
No, but there's a little microphone on my screen that moves when it picks things up, and it didn't move at all. So
Okay, so we're at public question period. Then let's move on to correspondence. I've got a move by Deputy Mayor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott, that the council receive the correspondence as information. 4 items on the agenda today. What's your preference here? Is anybody, yep. Councillor Potnovitz.
Yes, through you, Mayor. I'd like to pull and address the correspondence item 11E from the list. And that's the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority letter regarding Maitland Valley Conservation 2024-26 watershed strategy. As council is aware, Phil Beard, General Manager of MVCA, and I did a delegation to council on August 13, 2024, presenting the 24 to 26 watershed strategy. As part of that delegation, Mr. Beard asked if council would consider officially endorsing the watershed strategy. And I'd like to make a motion to that effect, that the council of the town of Minto hereby endorses the Maitland Valley Conservation 2024-2026 watershed strategy, and further that the council of the town of Minto directs staff to provide the MVCA with an official letter of endorsement that includes this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Potnovitz. We have a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Elliott. This, what MVCA is asking here is something relatively new. They require our endorsement in reference to their 3-year work plan. So what we'll do is, if the other 4 items are okay, we'll vote on this item first, and then we'll go back to the original motion. All in favor of the MVCA watershed strategy? That's carried. Thank you. And then we'll go back to the actual receipt of correspondence, unless there's something that we want to change or pull or whatever there. Hearing none, all in favor of the correspondence? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, so move along to reports, and we have, I'm going to pass the chair to Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. And this is a report on the Joint Fire Services Advisory Committee, and we're going to talk to ask Chief Farrow to provide that report for us, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Anderson. It was their first committee meeting. It's actually second committee meeting for the new Joint Fire Services Committee. It was held at the Palmerston Fire Hall. The committee, in case you, just to remind you, is the CAO from all 3 municipalities and 1 counselor from all 3 municipalities. So it's a great committee just to run ideas through, not necessarily make too many decisions. It's more of just an information that they can bring back to councils and support us. So you've seen the minutes in front of you. I'm not going to go through them word by word, but just there was some talk about budget 2025. We talked about some specialty rescue team, that the future of that and how that's going to work, and et cetera. So if there's any questions on that and how that works, you can ask me or Deputy Mayor Anderson or the CAO Fernie. We're all in attendance at the meeting, so welcome any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question on the 25-year truck plan. Was it, we're moving back to 25 years now from? Was it 15 or 20?
So we did have a 25-year truck plan in Minto.
Okay.
The goal is going to be to align the truck plan with all 3 municipalities, because we don't necessarily have to all have the same trucks. We can have different trucks that we can all utilize together. As well as ours is kind of shot out of the water because truck prices went from $600,000 for a pumper truck to 1.2 million. So we're a little shy on funds for some of the trucks that we need to look at moving forward. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll read the resolution. Council receives the Joint Fire Services Advisory Committee minutes of August 14th, 2024 for information and approves any recommendations contained therein. All of those in favor? And that's passed. And I will pass the chair back to Mayor Britton.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Anderson, we'll move along to staff reports. The next item here is the Stever recommendation report for zoning bylaw amendment, and I'll ask Jessica for her comments.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. So this was just a recommendation report from planning staff regarding the application that went forward to an August 13th public meeting. It was for the lots on Nelson Street West and Park Street. So with regards to concerns raised at the public meeting, we believe that we provided a bylaw keeping the lots on Nelson Street as an R1B zone, just with the site specific for the reduced lot area, so that they do remain as single detached dwellings. And there were some drainage concerns in the area. So by placing the holding on the R2 lot along Park Street, we feel that any future development would be addressed. So planning staff is of the opinion that the proposed amendment is consistent with provincial policy, including the PPS growth plan, and the proposed residential development is consistent with the policies in the county official plan, which support residential development and intensification. And we would recommend that council approve the bylaw at the end of this meeting.
Okay. I have a motion moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Councillor Elliott, that the Council of Town of Minto receives the report from the County of Wellington Planning Department regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 33 and 37 Nelson Street West and 26 Park Street West in Clifford as information, and further that council considers passing a bylaw in open session. I know that we've talked about this, I think, the last meeting. It's fairly fresh in our minds. Is there any questions on this one? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now, I'm going to ask Belinda to report on our grant in lieu of the application fees on ECDEV 2024-014, CO1 102-11974 Canada, Inc. Belinda.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. So this is our first application under this program, which funny has been in effect since 2015. And the purpose of this program was to provide a financial incentive to promote private sector investment and redevelopment, to encourage the revitalization of vacant, underutilized, and or contaminated properties and buildings in Minto's 3 urban areas, and to provide specific incentives that the town may approve for significant industrial, commercial, residential, or institutional redevelopments that further municipal design, servicing, environmental, and other economic development interests. So it's a rebate program that is equal to all or part of the normal fees for Planning Act applications, such as rezoning or minor variance, fees for agreements or waiving conditions of severance or subdivision, engineering or planning consulting fees, or building permits. To date, we've only issued about 8 CIP grants this year in total, about $8,000. So we've had several, nothing big. So we definitely have money left in this budget to approve this. This property is the former Van Isle property in Clifford. The team here had met with these folks back in February of 2022, and they've done a lot of work since that meeting, including several studies that have been conducted. Basically, they're in the process of severing off 2 highway commercial properties and then having the residential property at the back. Altogether, it would be 80 new residential units, which for Clifford would be really great to have. This meets a lot of the objectives of our CIP program. And by being approved in our program, it opens the door to the county's CIP program, where they can get 2 $10,000 grants for study, for some of the studies that they have to do, because I think there was like 11 on the list of what they need to do. So as I mentioned, we have money left in the budget to accommodate this $5,000 grant. And I don't have anything further to say unless there's any questions.
Okay, we have moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report ECDF 2024-014, grant in lieu of application fees, CO1 102-11974 Canada Limited, prepared by the Director of Economic and Community Development for the information purposes. And further, that the Council of the Town of Minto approves the grant in lieu of application fees, CO1 102-11974 Canada Limited, for $5,000. Questions for Belinda? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you very much, and we'll ask Councillor Gunson to assume the chair.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. We got one report today, and Mike McIsaac's going to report about the Owen Sound Highway Maintenance Connecting Links Agreement. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Chair Gunson. This is just the annual maintenance agreement, winter maintenance agreement for highways 9, 23, 89 in Harriston, as well as Highway 9 through Clifford. It is a slight increase over the previous year, roughly combined $2,000 increase. But with the increases that we've seen across the board with everything else through COVID and recovering from that, this is fairly realistic moving forward. If there's any questions.
Okay, I'll read the resolution. So moved by Councillor Zimmerman, second by Councillor Elliott. The Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report PW 2024-020, Winter Maintenance of Connecting Links Agreement for information purposes. And further, that the Council of the Town of Minto considers approving two bylaws in open session, authorizing the Mayor and Clerk of the Town of Minto to sign both agreements. Any questions for Mike? Seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Councillor Gunson. And on the finance agenda today, we have 3 items, and I'll pass it over to our Treasurer, Gordon Duff, to take us through the first one.
Great. Thank you, Chair Dirksen. So as you mentioned, we have 3 reports. The first one up is the approval of an application for a tile drain loan for Lawrence Hale. It's the first one for him, and this is the initial stage. So as you can see, he's got an estimate, and he's requesting a loan of $38,000. And Tanya's prepared it and consulted, and our drainage superintendent has been out to approve it. So I'll take any questions, but let's move forward.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? We haven't seen one of these for a wee while.
No.
The interest rate is getting, it makes it worthwhile again to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it changes.
Okay, well, seeing no questions then, I will call the question. It's moved by Councillor Podnowitz and seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report Finance 2024-013, application for a tile drain loan for Hale Lawrence E., prepared by the Deputy Treasurer / Revenue Coordinator for information purposes, and further that the Council of the Town of Minto approves the application for a tile drain loan as outlined under the Tile Drainage Act. All in favor? Thank you. That carries. Okay, on to the next one.
Yeah, so we have our new energy plan. So this is something we've been working on for several months. One of those projects that is involved virtually all the departments. So it's part of the regulations, and this is under the Ministry of Energy, and this is one of the few things we do for them. Once we had our first energy plan, they're due for revision every 5 years. The last one was 2019, so we have this one. We contracted with LAS, which is partly owned by AMO, who in turn subcontracted it out to a different consultant. But he's been very good to work with. Again, you do everything remotely these days. And he talked one-on-one with, I know, all of our community services department, roads, water, wastewater, as well as myself. And there's, new regulations. And I think the challenging part is
we've done a lot of the easier projects, or at least it's the most impact, such as replacing the streetlights with LEDs. We've done lights like this. We've done so many things under the Save on Energy. Water and wastewater have put variable frequency drive motors on. So it's more we're trying to figure out what else can we do that's reasonable that we can afford, because there's not a lot of funding out for these types of things now. There was, say, 10 years ago, but not so much now. And we're looking to investigate things through perhaps FCM or Green Municipal Fund. Anyway, it's a relatively detailed plan, but we think it's fairly realistic. You could put down things, we're going to electrify all our fleet or something, or have heat pumps at every facility, but it's just not realistic to do that. So it's more incremental changes, I'm thinking, and processes. So anyway, take any questions or anything.
Okay, thanks, Treasurer Duff. Yeah, Councillor Elliott.
Gord, have you got any record of any savings? Do we have any stats on that kind of thing?
Yeah. In fact, it's mandatory that I have that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to report on our facilities, and that's defined as a closed building. So there's 26, 27, depending how you measure it. So it's been very interesting. You could tell the whole impact of COVID, because especially in our recreation facilities, we ran fewer things, they weren't open, and our energy consumption dropped, sometimes drastically. And you see, as we come back to normal, things have come up, which makes it really hard to determine our efforts. Like streetlights, that's relatively easy, because you say, oh, the bills go down, and I think we're in about our 9th year of our 10-year project there, so that's good. But we do have statistics, and the unique thing is you always reported 1 year at a time, 2 years behind. So in 23, we did 2021. However, this year, and I had to have that filed, no extensions, by the end of June. So we did 22 and 23, and it's through a software called Portfolio Manager. So our consultant did refer to that in detail. We have monthly data on every facility we have, and it's for our hydro and our natural gas, propane, everything like that. So it does show up, and it is amazing how usage and also the type of energy source that you're using. And the thing about the plan, it's not so much about the money, it's about the consumption. So as we know, natural gas and hydro go up and down, but it's the actual consumption that is measured.
So environmentally, it's helped, obviously, and financially somewhat too.
Yeah, because everything that we report on gets converted to greenhouse gas emissions. That's done by the program. It's calculated there. So we've done a lot, more to do. I don't know if technology is keeping a pace with what we need to do,
right?
Especially at an affordable cost.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor Anderson.
So I have a question about
Sure.
that maybe isn't exactly captured in this report, but I'm thinking soon will be if it isn't currently, and that is EV chargers for vehicles, because we're all going to be driving electric vehicles, which I think is an unachievable goal, but nonetheless,
Yes.
you might argue with profit.
Yeah.
How's that work? Do we currently get compensation for our EV chargers? Do people pay to use them?
We do. And it is in no way an economically beneficial thing. It's a good thing to do.
I suspected that.
Yeah. If you recall, so we have 5 chargers in the town of Minto. Only one is a fast charger, and that may mean 20 minutes or that. We do get a compensation through the various software. The last one we did, which was the installation of 4, through the Ministry of Energy, we got a grant for 60,000, cost us 80,000, and we get a few $100s every quarter on that. So the payback is extremely long. And they have a fairly limited life. And like, as we found out maybe 2 years ago, the fast charger in Clifford, which, as we found out, was the only fast charger between Kitchener-Guelph and Tobermory, and they'd put a whole new one up there. So
looking ahead,
yes,
every vehicle is going to be EV, and every vehicle, whose responsibility is it going to be to have chargers available in every community so that people can travel across Ontario and support our economies like we need them to do because we want them to come visit?
yes.
Has anybody talked about that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, the county,
realistically?
yeah. Again, Minto was kind of ahead of the curve here, so the county did have a program, which I think is still in force, for more EV chargers, but they're all slow EV chargers.
Well, we might
So,
have to stay long enough to shop.
well, yeah, I guess. Overnight, maybe. Yeah, that's it. And I don't think, again, looking at the volume of use right now, I don't think we can justify the town of Minto spending more money on that right now. And I'm hopeful that an upper level of government, well, if I agree with you, if they have any hope of meeting 2030, 2035, whatever it is, yeah, we don't have the capacity, and far less the chargers. How about the grid? And I know people are working on that, yeah, so, yeah, I think unless it's mandated or we get a really great grant program, right now, well, I mean, I have one right outside my office. If I see one car a month, that's something, Now, the ones in Palmerston, I gather, are used quite a bit.
That's what I heard, that people
Yes.
line up to get to them, but
Yeah.
I don't know, it's out of my realm.
Yeah, it's great. It's an expense. It's certainly not a moneymaker, no,
Right, so that's going to be
Yeah.
an interesting future development potentially.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Yes,
Mayor Ann.
Thank you.
Mayor Turton.
Chair. I mean, and the Ford dealership downtown have put in how many? 5, 4?
Took up
6?
most of their parking lot, yes.
Yeah. And it's, from what I understand, it's a large investment. Each one is considerable. And for us to, I'm not sure if they'll ever get their investment back. I mean, they're likely looking at charging, people coming to charge, and while they're there, like Deputy Mayor Anderson says, getting people to stop, look around. But I can tell you that, Town of Minto staff council has really, so far, in the last 20 years, have done a really good job of staying above the curve, and I'm pretty sure you said that. I
Yes.
mean, when we look at all of our solar panels and
Mhm.
working with our friends at KW Power Logics and all the other energy initiatives that have been VFDs, like you said, in the arenas and stuff, those large motors, it's
Mhm.
considerable. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, this is a really good report again. It's, there's a lot of information in here and, it's one of those things that we're doing going forward. So, good work. Thank you.
It's true. Thanks, everyone.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll read the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report 2024-014 regarding the 2024 energy plan prepared by the treasurer for information purposes. And further, that the Council of the Town of Minto adopt the 2024 energy conservation and demand management plan update attached to this report. All in favor? Thank you, that carries. And we'll move on to the procurement policy.
Great. This is another policy that has been in development for at least, I'd say, all of 24 for sure. Started by our former Deputy Treasurer Potter, I've done a bit, and CEO Pertney has also kind of taken it across the finish line. Our policy was not that old, 2017, but there's been so many changes, especially with regard to trade agreements and more use of electronic purchasing payments, but the rise of buying groups, we all see them at the conferences and that too. So this is basically a modernization, not to mention inflation. So a few months ago, we did a revised tangible capital assets policy, again, increasing the thresholds. And we've tried to make the CAS levels in this one kind of a little more realistic. And it probably won't be as many as 7 years before we revise this again. So anyway, I think we believe we're in compliance with the myriad of legislation and agreements that are here now, and also try and strike that balance between accountability and transparency, and yet still working efficiently without shuffling too many papers all the time. So again, I'll take any questions. And
Any questions on the procurement policy? Mayor
Yeah,
Turton.
thank you, Chair. So the financial considerations, I mean, this is you and our staff, Gord. The policy was developed in-house at no extra cost.
yes, yeah, we actually did. Just
While there are no
time.
direct costs, it's hoped that a more modern policy will result in increased transparency with the goal of obtaining the best value for money for our citizens.
True.
So what would it, and I'm going to ask you a dozy question, but to go out and hire somebody to come in and do something like this, likely, I'm sure there's lots of municipalities that do it.
Yeah, and we did this way back in 2004, bylaw 0404. I think we hired someone from St. Catharines, and I think even back then it cost, I think in the neighborhood of 15 to 20,000 then. And again, if you kind of think that was only 5 years after amalgamation, so probably the bylaws were really out of date, and the province brought in a mandate that we have better procurement bylaws. So that met the legislation for the time, but again, things have changed, both inflation and legislation and that too. So
Yeah, I liked you throwing those questions out. Yeah, I think it was 2004. Remember that.
that's an easy bylaw to remember, 0404. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll read the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report 2024-015 regarding the purchasing/procurement policy prepared by the Treasurer and CAO for information purposes, and further that the Council of the Town of Minto consider approval of the attached policy. All in favor? Thank you, that carries. Thank you for your work on all of those items, Treasurer Duff, and I'll turn the chair back to Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Councillor Dirksen. We're at announcements, so I'm going to throw it right at Councillor Elliott. He's been so quiet over there tonight.
I've got more of a question and a comment. I'm wondering if we've got a hold of that curling group about the tournament they're having, whether they're coming back to do a presentation again or speak to us. We have questions. Yes.
CAO Frederick, please.
Through Mayor Turton to Councillor Elliott, I guess we've reached out. I don't think we've settled on a date yet, but they will be coming back.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Potnovitz.
I have nothing.
Councillor Gunson.
Just something quick. So for the most part, tomorrow is the return to school for most of the kids. So I know they'll be super, super excited to go back to school. So they'll be running all over the place. So just be careful when you're driving and pay attention to the school buses. I know my kids are super excited to go back.
I think that's great advice.
No, they're not.
Councillor Dirksen, are your kids excited about going back?
My kids are parents, so That's different. I just wanted to mention that the Hairston Fall Fair is coming up, September 13, 14, and 15, and the theme this year is maple trees and honeybees. And it's always a good fair and a good spot to hang out for at some point during those 3 days.
Thank you.
Councillor Dirksen just stole my thunder,
I'm
so there
sorry.
we go.
You guys gotta communicate better together. Yeah.
Is somebody going to talk
Deputy
about
Mayor
the
Anderson.
Palmerston? Somebody should talk about the Palmerston Fair, though. I was not around, so.
Oh, the Palmerston Fair was great.
Would you speak into the mic, please?
Sorry. Palmerston Fair was great. Lots of people there. We got to the taste of, whatever we call that, taste of home,
Taste of Minto.
Sure, that's what it was. It was good. Lots of kids there, lots of fun. Somebody was sitting on a seat getting very wet every so often. Offered me the chance to be in the same seat, but I declined. But my husband couldn't get him off the seat. Or wet. Mayor Church not even gonna look at that.
Yeah, he's just going to ignore it.
Yeah, okay, so we'll ignore that. But the Hairston Fall Fair is coming up. Following that, the week after that, or a couple weeks before that, we have Culture Days. So there's all kinds of activities coming up. So the 21st, we're having apples and astronomy out at the farm again. Hopefully the rain won't come. Some years it does, some years it doesn't. But there'll be apple cider, there'll be stargazing, there'll be who knows what kind of treats. Depends what I decide to bake up or cook up this year. And an announcement that I don't know is official or anybody knows about it, but we're getting broadband down the 3rd line. And the 5th line, I understand, George is getting his installed as well, so we've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this for about 12 years, so it's coming. They have the little platforms in the ground and they got lines drawn up by Langley, so that's a good thing for those of us who live in rural Ontario and don't have any internet. That's all.
Good, yeah, sure. I can comment on that sprinkly thing. I was sitting on it. I was cooling down. I agreed to be on it for 15 minutes. My 15 minutes was coming to an end, and Deputy Mayor Anderson and Councillor Anderson came walking along, and I don't know what happened, but Dave put up $20, and I said that I would, if he could hit that little, well, it was fairly big, had to hit the bullseye on the front of the sprinkler thing, and it would splash water all over the place. Well, Dave got out some of his old pitching skills, and he threw the ball 3 times, and I was concerned that he was going to break something because he was throwing the ball at 100 mile an hour instead of. Anyways, it cost him $20. So thank you for that donation. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was certainly different than the conventional one where you dunk right into 50 gallons of water. This was just spraying up into your face, so still got you wet on a cool night. But this, the Hairston Fall Fair, we can talk about that. The parade is on Saturday the 12th, and we'll likely be putting in a parade again, or a float. So I challenge all the council to be on it. A couple other items. September 25th, which is a Wednesday night between 6 and 8, the Minto DEI group is presenting Truth and Reconciliation. It's an Indigenous celebration, and it's at the arena, being put on by the Minto Cultural Roundtable and the DEI group. And it's mainly for education, and it'll be a fun-filled evening, and you need to get your tickets in advance from the town office, or there's 2 or 3 other places where you can get them. And the other item is the Palmerston Homecoming. This is happening August 1st to the 4th, 2025. And the motto is all tracks lead to Minto, all tracks lead home. They're looking for volunteers to help out in Palmerston. And you can see the list of events on palmerstonhomecoming@gmail.com, or you can email that for a list of events. So I challenge everyone. It's not just for Palmerston, it's for our whole town. A lot of people that lived in Clifford that went to Norwell, and it's all about coming home, and it's more about coming home for the party, possibly not for the event. Is that something like that, Chris? But Anyways, I challenge everyone to get involved. It's, you have a few months to prepare, whether you're putting your family's putting in a float or whatever. There's going to be lots to do. Okay. So, got a motion by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Potnovitz, that the Committee of the Whole convenes into regular council. All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Gunson, that the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in Committee of the Whole. All in favor of that motion? That's carried, thank you. Motion resolution moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Elliott, that bylaws 2024-046 through 2024-049 be read first, second, and third time and passed in open council and seal the corporation. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Is there a question?
Did we not do 048 already?
Did we do a part of, no, we did not.
Oh, we didn't do it, okay.
Nope.
We just had the report. I
Nope,
guess.
just
Okay.
a report for
Okay.
information only.
All right, perfect.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem. So
I'm
I'm
in
going to
favor.
ask that again. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. Confirmatory moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that bylaw 2024-050 to confirm the actions of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Minto respecting a meeting held September 3rd, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council, seal the corporation. All in favor of that motion? That's passed. Thank you. Adjournment. Moved by Councillor Potnovitz, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor of the motion? Thank you very much.